Mm-hmm. God is. Mm-mm. God is. God is. Mm-mm. That's all I know. Y'all heard that new Leandra Johnson? It might be an old song, but it's definitely a new spin put on by Leandra Johnson. And y'all know, I don't want to hear any gospel music unless Leandra Johnson is singing it. I just something about her it moves me. Hallelujah. Oh. Welcome to Sunday Morning Worship. I'm your man, Rico. Sunday Morning Worship with Rico. This is another installment. I know it's not every Sunday, but when I'm trying to get one in, I'll try to get one in. We're getting closer to the 11 o'clock service. It started a little early because I have an appointment in about 30 minutes. So I just want to share this Sunday morning sermon with you. Amen. Come on, somebody. Oh, glory. But y'all know, I know a lot of you have been paying attention to what's going on across the country. From Memphis to Chicago, I think in Detroit, and whatever, there seem to be teenagers in urban areas across the country. And by the way, like, share, and subscribe this Facebook page as well as this YouTube channel, Rico the Opinionist. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out the description box. It has that's where I keep my little advertisement for my short story. It's only 50 pages. Cash App, PayPal, $ Rico the Opinionist, or Rico the Opinionist PayPal. Only $10. Please send an email address if you'd like for me to email it to you right away. That is the greatest pain ever felt. A conversation with an absent biological father who never wanted to be found. Okay, so and you know, whenever there's something going on with the country that's considered negative or something that's traumatic, they always go to the city of Chicago. And if you go back and read back, like old research, it talks about black males and black male behavior in black children. There's always research and studies done on black children in Chicago. So what is it about the city of Chicago that is used as the litmus test for everything that is considered troubling with black youth, black boys or black people? Chicago is the place. You ever notice that? They always go back and read your old research books, old stories. It's talking about the conditions, economic and educational and political conditions of children and teenagers. They always go to Chicago. Well, Fox News and MSNBC and even liberal and conservative news outlets and YouTube channels have been talking about the latest, some people refer to it as a riot, some people refer to it as a rampage that's been taking place in Chicago. Teenagers and young people, teens, a lot of teenagers are just kind of busting loose, if you will, across downtown and all of that. And I want to stand just for a second, take up for the city of Chicago as a whole. The city of Chicago as a whole is a cool city. If it wasn't for the fact that Chicago is located up north, I probably would have moved there a long time ago. I just cannot do northern winds. I can't do northern temperatures. I can't do up north. When I say Norman, I can't do up north temperatures, up north or northern wind chills. I can't do it. I am a southerner by genetics. I am a dude who was born and reared in the South, not South Carolina. No, I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, the South. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, the South. And not that cool, southeast like Florida, South Florida. Now, that'd been awesome because the weather there is great. And it's good and hot in Texas, good and hot in Tennessee. See, I'm used to that. And our winters aren't so harsh. So Chicago, that Chicago wind chill, that thing that hits you, I guess from October all the way to damn near May, but definitely in March and April, that chill that hits you. I can't, that's a different kind of cold. But anyway, but when I had the chance to visit there, Chicago is a pretty cool place. Beautiful city. But we tend to take a section of these cities that happen to be urban, as they want to label it. Mainstream white America likes to call all the black sections urban and low income. And so they want us to think that that's all of Chicago, and that's not true. So I need y'all to stop disrespecting Chicago as a whole and talk about the sections that are really the trouble spots. And it just happens to be where mainly African Americans live, or lower income African American. You might have lower middle class and middle class up, but sometimes the areas are so close together they spill over into each other, right? And so, Memphis is having the same problem with these young adults. They're doing a lot of drag racing and just speeding and trying to have drag shows wherever they are, and on the cars, and doing donuts in the streets, holding up traffic. And so, and when you look at all these things, that's been going on as relates to the troubles that appear to be going through our young people. The quick go-to is, it's a systematic racism, which I'm not knocking at, because here, we're black in America. We're going to always be up under that unless something changes, drastically changes. If you're black in America, you're always going to face and deal with racism until you decide to get a passport and leave, and then you're going to deal with the global racism, because racism, white supremacy, systematic racism, white supremacy is global. It's not just local to your city or your state if you're a black person. And I know a lot of you try to live in your gated communities with what you believe are very kind and liberal white folks, and but systematically, a lot of you try to do other things to try to escape, like marry into the mainstream culture, white women, white men, and try to have mixed kids. But still, if your mixed kid is dark enough, he or she's gonna catch that racism, socially as well as systematically. We try to give them different names. So, but that's just a piece of why I came on this morning. I want to make it very local to a lot of us, particularly in the black community. Because one thing about it, statistics don't lie. And all of these children that appear to be going crazy or acting out, we never want to talk about this one leading cause of this kind of behavior. That is the breakdown of family. Some people trace it back all the way to the plantation when they used to sell off children or sell off families. But then you have information that shows where a lot of slaves were actually getting married. Of course, they would be interfered with the plantation owner and the overseer, coming in and still raping his wife and she'd having his mulatto kid and all of that kind of mess. But the point is, after they were allegedly freed, at least 84% of black people were married, and about 84% of black children were born within a family structure. And they worked together during the days of Jim Crow and slave codes, right? Slave codes and Jim Crow. They worked together. But something happened after 1965, after that Lyndon Baines Johnson murder, and then the murder of Dr. King. Something happened. It was like there was a doubling down on the destruction of the black family. And African American women, unfortunately, bought into the whole notion of feminism, and they're being oppressed by the men, even though white women were having this back and forth with their white men. And it's interesting to hear white women talk about how they were so oppressed, but you were laying next to the plantation owner. Now, who's the white comedian that said that? I think it was Bill Burr. Said you were laying right there next to him, benefiting when he was beating slaves, raping the women and everything. You were laying right there next to him. And when he died, you got all of his stuff, including his slaves. So I don't understand how black women still think they have some form of a sisterhood or an alignment with white women. You don't. and you allowed Gloria Steinem to put you on a magazine. That black woman died, by the way, recently, who was up there holding the black fist with Gloria Steinem, a Jewish white feminist, who ended up getting a husband who was married. Isn't that interesting how white feminists can have husbands but tell you you don't need a man and convince you to believe that you don't need a man, black female, black woman. And this was going on in the late 60s and all through the 70s and hit its pinnacle in the 80s and the 90s, 80s, where they were all on talk shows saying how black men weren't up to snuff. We're more educated. Black women are CEOs. We are more professional. We have stuff together. All of that. And those same white talk show hosts, those same black talk show hostesses, because I don't think too many black men had any talk show. I think Montel got one in the 90s, but he used to go on his show if you were black, talking about black family and black issues. Because I'm a quarter black, I'm a quarter... He used to always say, I'm a quarter white, I'm a quarter French. You people have put percentages of your whiteness up front as if that's the totality of your blackness. Oh, it's amazing to see black folk do this. Well, I got a grandmother that's part German, and I have an uncle who's, I think he's like Irish, and you look like Whoopi Goldberg. Shut the fuck up, please. Damn, I cussed in church. So you blacks say, I got a quarter. If you shake the leaves in a tree, there's a Caucasian on the bound, and you look like Don Cheadle. Shut the fuck up. I tell you, boy. But let me stay on point, on topic here. We've tried everything to try to figure out why the black community is what it is, except for looking at it for what it really is. In the natural order things, in order to keep order, in order to keep peace, in order to keep balance, there has to be a man there. God created Adam. And he said, hey, look, he looks lonely. Let me get him a help meet. Come on, somebody. So he allegedly took a rib out of his bone. I know we can deal with semantics later. And created woman. He obviously made her rebellious because the first thing she did after hearing the rules, you can have anything y'all want in this garden. Do not go over there and mess with that tree over there. I'll be damned. She said, I know he told us not to go over there, but it must be something about those apples over there. We ain't supposed to, like, look, God told you. He told both of us, don't go over there. But then a snake came up. Today we call him the Pookie or the Ray Ray. Damn, little mama, shit, I know you go get you one. Yeah, I mean, ain't no gonna happen. Man, she ain't nothing happen to me. Get you one, little mama, eat it. I don't know, because my man said don't do it, and God told us not to. Oh, little mama, you ain't gonna let him sit you out like that. You gonna let him gas you up like that? You can't have that. Juicy, go. All right, I just want to taste a little bit. Go, get you a bite. It ain't not gonna happen. No, it ain't not gonna happen, little mama. Then go ahead. As he slithered in her ear, and she fell for it. And okay, let me try. Let me give me one. It is sweet. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, the imbalance and the foolishness began because she was hard-headed. Now, feminists, get yourself together. There you go, creating a scenario that will cause possibly the attack and abuse of women. No, I'm just saying, that's what your belief system says. That's what your Bible said, right? And guess what? The woman is still hard-headed. She went against her man again, this time for another slithering snake called the white man and the white feminist. And so the white man and the white feminist, Lyndon Baines Johnson and Gloria Steinem and others, they talked you out of your man. But said, here, you can have all the apples you want. Food stamps, welfare, child support. But see, the natural order thing is supposed to be a male-masculine balance there. We've gone so far away from nature, we've gone so far away from God that women today are so sick that they're drunk in their own egos. They're drunk in their own sense of what they believe is the way the world's supposed to go. Come on, somebody. Yeah. And so the men like, well, fucking gone. Go ahead. We'll go find other women who are agreeable, who are fit, who are feminine, who listen to what I say, who will follow my masculinity and not attack it as some kind of oppressive patriarchy. And so these selfish people began to decide how they want to become mothers instead of in the right way. So they purposely volunteered to become women without men, but they want the men's sperm to produce children. Because see, even when you try to ignore the natural order things, the natural order things still reside within you. You know all these homosexuals that want kids? See, even though you're living outside the natural order things, homosexuals, you still have the desire to naturally reproduce. You naturally want to be a parent to children when homosexuality is totally opposite of the natural order of things. Are y'all listening to me? So Rico, what's got to do with all these kids running wild and all this in Chicago and in Memphis and across these urban areas? See, when you take the man out of the house, when you decide to take the man out, you decide to take God out the house. I'll go ahead. Let me give y'all a minute. Did y'all get that? When you decide to reject the masculinity of a man because your ego and your pride is what's substituted for an actual man and discipline, this is what we have, chaos. Everybody else, Asians, Hispanics, Jews, who else? Latinos, all these other groups still have patriarchal influences. But we have been, everybody uses the black community as the test tube lab rats of Chicago. We're the lab test rats. We're the sociological experiment of the world. And we're a mess. And children without masculine structure of a man, they run haywire. Well, Rico, there's some people who came up with a mother and a father. Look, those statistics are so small that they don't even show up in the data. What was glaring in the data, children who grow up without fathers, who grow up in a household. I'm talking about in a household. Now, he picks them up on the weekends and all this. I'm talking about intact structural families. Why does that offend so many African-American women? Why does that offend you, African-American women? The idea of putting together a structured family with a husband who you respect and who respects you, who knows his role to hunt, gather, protect, and provide, and add leadership and balance to the household. You have to have masculine and feminine in the form of a man and a woman, not a woman and a stud, not a sissy and a straight man, or what's called a masculine, feminine, homosexual male. That doesn't work like that. Because y'all know we're initially put here to reproduce with one another, but in a structured sense. Because some of you take that whole Bible verse, well, God put us here to be fruitful and multiply, under the guise of the covenant, if you will, of mother, father, child. Not you slanging your willy whacker all around because you're looking for your manhood through your zipper. Or you're around here wanting to produce babies because I don't want no man, but I want somebody to love me unconditionally. You need your parents or you need therapy, young lady. Well, I'm 38 years old. My years are getting past me. I ain't found nobody I can have a baby with. Well, you don't need to have none then. You don't have no children for you. You have them for the way they were supposed to be given under the covenant of the Lord. Come on, somebody. But so many of you have gotten away from it. Even as you walk into your church today, you let your preacher entertain you, but he's not going to tell you there is a direct connection to us disobeying the natural order things under the covenant, man, woman, and child, to the way of why these children feel so unloved and uncared for and unattention paid to. They're on their own, and they learned this early. Look at social media, all these little kids on there, teenagers, boys and girls. It's weird. A lot of our boys are so turned in and out, they don't know if they're a boy or a girl. A lot of our girls don't know if they want to be women or men or they want to be both. And these children. And so whenever you're a single woman and you choose, and I would say choose, because don't tell me about, well, he need to wear a condom. You got 25 forms of birth control, ladies and helper. 25 forms, probably more. But you don't even make him, and y'all need to quit lying about him. Well, he don't want to use no condom. These young men are telling on y'all. Y'all don't even make them use a condom. I have been in sexual situations. Condom not even brought up. It's the weirdest thing when it's convenient. You want the man to protect your body but when it's convenient for you ladies, my body, my choice. But when you want that penis that you desire, you can have it all, daddy. Get it together, ladies. When you choose to become a single mother, you create this scenario in Chicago. Now I heard that weenie ass, weird ass, effeminate, liberal, LGBT, what's his name, Brandon Johnson, who just elected. Well, you know, they're hungry. So what do you do about kids who are hungry? They're not, excuse me, Brandon. I saw the videos. When they were breaking and looting, I didn't see anybody that were bags of groceries. They were stealing tennis shoes, TVs, electronics. So who the hell eats a 65-inch? I didn't see them grabbing bags of fruit, loaves of bread. So dude, you tripping. And another thing. Y'all always know our community is so kind of backwards. You have the kids, the women have the children by who they want to have them by, but the men who you don't want to have them by, you want them to come back and clean up your mess. Men are not going for that anymore. And I'm not encouraging young men to be mentors to children they didn't give birth to. They always want, and I had to rethink my thinking, reprogram myself. Because y'all heard me say, we need to go back to the hood and we need to do this and that. But wait a minute. When we were in the hood, these men weren't the men the women were selecting. They were selecting the dope boys and the on the corner pants saggers and the weed smokers and the rap lovers and the rappers. That's what they were selecting. You weren't selecting the young man who went to school every day with the buddy tennis shoes on, with his backpack on full of books, who's in class every day, who didn't smoke weed, who wasn't in a gang. Yeah, I wasn't giving him no coochie. So now that he's an engineer, now that he's a professor, now that he is a famous entertainer, now that he's a famous professional athlete, you want him to come back to the hood to help with these kids. When he didn't have any kids in the ghetto, he didn't throw any paper down on the ground, he never committed any crimes in the ghetto, he didn't sell no dope, he didn't rap music that talk about kill other blacks and degrade women. He didn't do any of those things. He went on about his life. He went off to college. He went off to the military. He went to vocational school, got a trade, and moved out and moved on. But these are the men y'all want to come back to walk the halls of these old raglass, the violent-ass public schools. We need more fathers in the schools. Let me tell you something about that too. Y'all just act like y'all just don't know what's going on. And because I personally experienced this. When I came out of college, couldn't find a job in social work, so I'll teach. I must have put in like 3 or 4 applications in my hometown with a master's degree to teach anything, just have a job and to teach. I said, you know what? And I know I wasn't the only one. There's probably tons of young black men who applied to be teachers. And I can't confirm this, but I swear across the country they were throwing the applications of men away. Because it doesn't make any sense. Now you say, we need more men teaching. Well, they don't want to come into the field because they don't pay that much. Men were lining up to get in there, but y'all had an agenda all the time. Erase the men. Get them out of there. Because now you got all these women principals. They're the social workers. They're the counselors. They're the teachers. They're all over, and the children are running amok. Because a lot of these women can't even run their own households, let alone have any discipline in the schools. But now you're trying to make it as if men have done something wrong, when all they did was say, hey, okay, you don't want us, we'll go where we're wanted. We'll go where we're celebrated and not tolerated. And that's what a lot of black men, clean-cut, educated, successful black men have done when they left the ghetto. They moved on. They probably got married to decent women and moved to the suburbs, or they moved to other cities or other countries. But now there's a call, we need more men in the schools. We need more black men in the community. You got them there. We had them there. But you weren't, ladies, you weren't screwing the ones who would provide a bright future. You were screwing the ones who provided entertainment for you that night or per nut. Now here we are today. These children are running amok. But still you got these liberal Democrats, these lame noodle neck body ass dudes. But they're hungry. Our black shit, they're ignored. No, racism. I get it. But when are we going to own up to the part that we play in racism? See, we do a lot of self-destructive things. And I know, slavery has never been really addressed. We haven't been, but we've been here 300 years. No one has read a book. They haven't read Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's book yet. You haven't read Dr. Joy Leary's book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. You haven't read anything about Dr. Claude Anderson, anything about Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Amos Wilson, and all these years. All these black leaders that y'all had, none of them had suggested read these books or go to these workshops. So you're full of shit. And you keep electing the very people who enjoy you being out of order. And they're now Republicans. Because black people don't vote Republicans. They vote 97% Democrat. And this is why your neighborhoods are fucked. This is why your children are in disarray. And most importantly, due to the fact that years ago you decided to say, damn, with God's covenant, I'm going to be this feminist, strong, black, independent woman. But I still want the men who I never selected and don't care to select to come in and clean up my mess. Those days are over. And we're going to have to tell the truth. We're going to have to admit that we made a mistake. Ladies, you made a mistake. And y'all are not great at raising children. You're not. Look at the results. The statistics show in the last 50 years, 74 to 77% of black kids are born out of wedlock to single, never married women. Over 80% of the black males who are in jail come from single parent households. Over 80% of the children who are not reading on their grade level come from single parent households. The numbers keep going. Keep going. Majority of the rappers who rap about murdering and killing other black men and black women, and all the black girls who rap about WAP and speaking all this bunch of lesbian Jezebel spirit in the music come from single parent, single mother households. A lot of these young men come from single mother households. Those who over 70%, 90, damn near 85% of black boys join gangs come from single mother raised households. So tell me any benefits of you being a single mother that has been bestowed upon black children. I'll wait. What are the benefits? None. Our poor children are suffering because of your ego, your arrogance, and also your naivete, thinking that white women ever had your best interest at heart. You ignored God and got with that devil. That's what you did. Now, of course, I can hear you just thinking, what about the men? What about the men? The men were on point. But you joined that devil to go against him, and you still continue to do it. Social media and all of that. You can't be told. You can't be corrected. Nothing. You're so full of yourself now. You're drunk on your own pride, your own ego. But when you sober up, well, a lot of you have sobered up, but you're not going to be woman enough to admit it. You see the destruction that you've caused. Because we've already outlined all of the destruction that men do. We've done that for years. We've all talked about how men are fucked up. But it's almost like against the law to call out how women have contributed to the destruction of the black community with their naivete, their arrogance, and their egotistical mindset. And most importantly, they're disobedient to God. Y'all have to go. I just wanted to share that. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It's your man, Rico, the Opinionist. I was just sharing my thoughts. I'll talk to y'all in the future. Like, share, and subscribe. Go to that description box. Check out my book, The Greatest Pain Ever Felt, The Conversation with Absent Biological Father Who Never Wanted to be Found. Y'all hear what I said? Absent biological father. Hey, if you black, more likely you're a product. It's only $10. $ Rico the Opinionist. That's PayPal or Cash App. Please send an email address because it's in the PDF format. Y'all take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I got to go and get my hustle on. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.